Does it feel affordable?
Prices just go up and up and up.
It's insane. It's overpriced.
I think it's really expensive.
Not super affordable. It's a little high.
Rent is a little high, to be honest, yeah.
America is experiencing one of the most serious housing crises in its history. Consequently, rent pricing has gotten way out of hand. In the last 20 years, increases in rental rates have outpaced average income by almost 60%. Last year, a record 21 million people were considered cost-burdened by their rent payments, meaning that more than 30% of their income went towards rent.
And even if you found a way to afford today's rents, you might be feeling the effects of the housing crisis in other ways.
I don't pay that much in rent, but
it takes my friend 1 hour to get where they need to go.
Oh yeah, it's really hard for me to get to the things that I need. It's like a 20-minute skate from my house to downtown.
In an isolated area.
Small room without even a window.
And I share a house with 34 people. So
this trend is not a result of the free market. It's the consequence of a series of powerful, long-standing policy choices. To understand how to fix our housing crisis and make rents more affordable, we have to understand more about these choices. There are many issues that affect the cost of housing, like supply chain disruptions, labor market changes, or interest rates. But the root of the problem is a shortage of housing where people need it the most. So why doesn't more housing get built where people need it, like in cities where jobs are growing?
This is where we have to talk about policy choice number 1, zoning.
We didn't have zoning in this town until around 1960.
Zoning is the practice of saying what kinds of buildings can go where and what they can be used for.
Zoning's been around for about 100 years. Some zoning was designed to separate industry from residential areas, but it got popular mainly for the purpose of separating white families and businesses from the rest of society.
Oh, I don't think Mr. Candy would sell to them.
Today, American cities are bathed in restrictive land use regulations. In a traditional American city, you might have a walkable downtown with taller buildings and retail, maybe some arterial roads radiating out from it with strip malls and lots of parking, but everything else is covered by something called single-family zoning.
The suburbs, almost as much written about as Madison Avenue.
In 75% of all residential land in the United States, the only thing you're allowed to build is a detached, single-family house. As a result, there's less space for different kinds of homes, like apartments or townhouses, even though many people may want or need them. This lack of variety leads to inefficient land use, where large areas are used for only one type of housing, making it harder to fit more homes in places where people want to live. And while zoning regulations on their own hinder new housing supply, it's equally important to understand how zoning is protected and weaponized by local citizens.
According to researchers in Boston who analyzed years of public meeting comments about development, a mere 15% of comments were in support of new housing. 62% were in opposition, and the remaining 23% were neutral. So what's the problem? Isn't this how democracy works?
The problem is that people who currently show up are not representative of our larger community. The same study in Massachusetts found that while the majority of voters in these towns support new housing, they only represent 15% of all comments. And it turns out that folks that show up to these meetings are on average older, whiter, wealthier, and more likely to own a home than the average voter. In towns and cities where voters largely support new housing, most of us understandably aren't showing up to advocate for a small apartment building. The immediate neighbors, on the other hand, care a lot.
Well, emotions are running high in Gilbert after developers want to change the zoning of a popular area.
Doesn't benefit one resident of Morrison Ranch.
I worry about their safety.
Now they've started a petition.
I'm opposing this to maintain the integrity of a commercial-free zone.
I'm definitely upset about the rezoning. We're using this as a rental property. We bought it.
On the whole, as neighborhood defenders shut down one development after another, housing supply becomes limited. The point is, as long as wealthy homeowners are the only people showing up to make public comments, housing supply will continue to fall short of demand and your rent will continue to increase. Things don't look so great right now.
But it doesn't have to be this way.
And there are things you can do right now to fight back in your own community.
And I would be able to just walk straight to skate to 7-Eleven for real. That'd be lit.
Cities are usually required to update their development plans every few years, which presents an opportunity to change the zoning laws. For example, here in Ann Arbor, we're about to rewrite our comprehensive plan, essentially choosing what our urban planning priorities will be for the next few decades.
Both here and in cities around the country, your voice is needed to solve this housing crisis. So take 5 minutes to research how to attend your next city planning meeting, see if there's any pro-housing groups already in your area, and hit the subscribe button to learn more about advocating for urban planning practices that make our neighborhoods more affordable, safe, and livable.